Hey, I'm Captain Tim from Full Sail Leadership Academy. Today we're on board sailing vessel When and If, General Patton's boat that was built in 1939 by John Alden. And we're on with Seth Salzman, who's the owner of When and If, and really the main captain of When and If, and kind of my personal hero actually, because I grew up loving Patton, the movie, and then found your boat, and it's like, dang, I got to sail on this boat, and I've got to do a full sail leadership workshop on it. So tell me how you came to own When and If.
I first saw When and If when I was 16 years old, and I was sailing in Eggemoggin Reach in Maine. And through the binoculars, I read the name boards, that said When and If. And one of the passengers on board knew the whole story about General Patton. He started telling the story about When and If, and that General Patton wanted to sail around the world when the war was over and if he returned. And the story was cool, but honestly, I fell in love with the boat. Seeing her sail by, and she had maybe 6 or 8 people on board, and they were all obviously having the time of their lives. I'd already decided that sailing on tall ships or schooners was something I could see myself doing and making a career of it. But then I saw the When and If, and I just set my goals, higher. It's like I need to sail on boats like the When and If or that boat. I just kept randomly, seeing the boat in different harbors around the U.S. and the Caribbean, over the course of 20 years, really. And the time, When and If was going through some changes with their ownership, and the guy I worked for sold his classic yacht, and he really was looking for another classic yacht, so I suggested When and If, and he went and looked at it and decided that he wanted to take on the project of restoring her and bringing her back. And so he called me back and said, I'm going to buy When and If, and I want you to be the captain. Wow. And owning a classic boat's not just for the rich, and they don't have to be private yachts, which was my goal with this boat. Was I wanted to open her up. I wanted to share her with the public. I wanted maritime history to mean something, and besides just reading it from a book, but being able to step foot on board and live it and do it.
So we work with organizations building stronger teams, more enthusiastic, productive teams, and we do that by teaching the 5 essentials of a team. We talk about steward leadership, strengths first leadership, and the power of shared language. So how do you recruit, and then how do you train around a common language?
Honestly, I don't end up having to recruit so much as emails pop into my inbox, and it's an eager young man or woman from, wherever. I've had crews from the prairie and crews that have a background in sailing all reach out and say, we love what we see with the When and If and what you guys are doing, and love to be a part of it. But as far as the training, picking that crew that you actually pick is based on not necessarily their skills, but their mindset, what they bring to the table, what they have to offer, their openness to learning and adapting, because sailing is about adapting every minute, every hour when you're out there. So in life and business, it's really a huge tool to teach how to be proactive and to adapt. And so I really pick for people that kind of have that attitude.
Okay. So how do you coach for trust and build trust, and how do you build accountability among your crew?
Yeah, I think that's always the hard part. One of the main ways I build trust is by not micromanaging. I really encourage everyone to take responsibility for their job, their task at hand. And with me allowing them and them feeling like I trust them to do this task, I think it breeds trust right there, because the first thing, I've trusted them, but I know that I've given them a job that has some leeway for learning. You start it small like that and build up to bigger and harder jobs. And as far as accountability, I think a boat like this or any tall ship, you know, people become accountable for their actions because of their peers. And when you have a set crew on the boat that's really, you know, takes pride in the vessel, they're kind of holding everyone else accountable. And you know,
Yeah, that kind of reinforces what we talk about, because we always talk about accountability is really the highest form of praise.
Yeah.
And so that's cool how that fits in. What about like strengths? Understanding people's strengths and where to put them on the boat. How do you coach for that and encourage that?
Yeah, I think that starts with an intuition thing. And so a lot of people have to learn from watching me maybe. You know, we go to the shipyard and we're in the boatyard and we have 10 crew all working, and some are novices, some are experts at certain things. And so placing, you know, it's very important to place someone within their strengths in some way. There can be a lot of stuff around the edges that they know nothing about, but you give them something that's within their strength, they feel better about their productivity that day, and they feel, you know, easier to help each other out. So,
We talk a lot about an owner or a CEO, C-level exec really has to be a caretaker for the people that he manages or she manages. How do you check in with your crew to see how they're doing on a daily basis?
I think having open communication with your staff and not making it difficult for an entry level, you know, crew member or deckhand or someone new that has the most learning curve and the most anxiety, to not make it difficult for them to reach out. You know, them having my number, them having a, you know, text from me after their first week of training saying, you know, Captain says you're doing great, you know, keep it up. And, you know, call me or text me anytime. I mean, trying to not have your employees or your staff be afraid to talk to you.
Tell me about pre-race communication on a schooner, because I know you race one, and if
You know, the main thing with the race communication is, you know, giving what you think is going to happen rundown to your crew. So I think communication again in the beginning on this is how I think it's going to happen and how I'd like it to play out. And then as it's changing, letting them know right away, hey, this is different now, let everyone know. So we do a lot of that. I try not to do a lot of yelling.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. That never helps.
Yeah.
Okay, one final question. How do you teach Seth Salmon's vision and mission for when and if to crew as they come on board?
I think a lot of it goes by lead by example. You know, show them what I care about. I care about our guests having one of the best experiences they could ever have. Not only because it's on a historic boat, but because we all care about it and we all have passion for it. You know, this is my vision. We like classic boats. We like them to be pretty. We like our guests to have to feel like our friends and fellow sailors, as opposed to, you know, passengers. You know, we hate that word, passengers. We use guests or clients, or, you know, because it's more cohesive. We're in it together. If things go bad, we're all on the same boat together. It'd be nice if they already felt like they were part of it, even when it was going good. So we want everyone to feel like, you know, they're sharing in an experience.
Well, Seth, I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So happy to be on board and looking forward to sailing the next
2
day.
days with us. Yeah.
2 days. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
so thanks again, man.
You're welcome.